The wind howled across the steppe like rabid wolves, carrying the stench of blood and smoke from burning yurts. Her heart pounded like a war drum, pulse racing, skin prickling with goosebumps from the night's chill and raw fear. Hands bound in rough leather thongs trembled, the ropes biting into wrists like hot coals. In the distance, screams echoed, not human cries, but something primal, animalistic. She, Aislu, wife of the defeated Merkite chieftain, knelt on the hard ground, feeling stones dig into her knees. Her eyes, filled with despair, stared at the silhouette of a mounted warrior against the firelight. "Why me?" she whispered in her mind, choking on tears. "What will they do to us?" We see Genghis Khan as the ultimate conqueror, builder of an empire that linked Asia in trails of trade and triumph. But do we know what hid behind that glory? What price did captured women pay in the Mongol fury? This story uncovers the dark secret. What Genghis Khan did to his enemies' wives wasn't just war spoils. It was a system of terror that shattered souls and bodies. Not random acts, but a method to destroy foes forever. But what happens to Aislu next is far crueler. If you want the truth textbooks hide, subscribe now to face history head on. Genghis Khan's empire shines in our minds as a saga of steppe warriors, endless horizons of green grasslands where thousands of horses thundered and Mongolia's sky gleamed pure blue, untouched by smoke. Picture it, the great Khan, Temujin, united scattered tribes into a mighty machine that conquered China, Persia, and Rus. His army, disciplined like no other, built trade roads, exchanged ideas and goods. Mongol philosophy, pragmatism, and loyalty. Warriors fought for the Khan, and he rewarded them with plunder. Art, carvings from bone and gold, songs of heroes chanted around campfires. This was the era when Europe trembled at the Yellow Horde, and chroniclers described them as an unstoppable wave. But beneath that golden facade lurked shadow. Mongol society, built on clans and steppe laws, glorified male strength, while women, mothers, wives, servants, were pawns in the survival game. The steppe code, Yasa, demanded absolute obedience to the Khan, with disobedience punished by death. Women from defeated tribes? They weren't citizens of the empire, they were loot, symbols of victory. Aislu grew up in this world. As wife of the Merkite chieftain Dire Usun, she lived in comfort, wearing fur robes embroidered with silver, listening to the Orkan River's rush and children's laughter by the yurts. Her husband was a respected warrior, and she guarded the hearth. But everything shattered in 1204 when Mongol dust clouds heralded Genghis Khan's approach. The first unease came like a whisper on the wind. Rumors of conquests, Naiman and Karat tribes fell, their khans lost heads, and women vanished into the steppe. Aislu heard whispers at the well. They take enemies' wives to mix their blood with Mongol. She shivered like a cold gust from the Altai Mountains. Her husband laughed, slapping his steed. "We're Merkits, strong as rock." But at night, lying beside him, her heart raced uneasily. What if Genghis Khan's system, this ruthless machine of loyalty and conquest, reached them? The empire wasn't just an army, it was the enemy, devouring everything: land, lives, dignity. Steppe law said, "Victor takes all, including women, to weaken foes for generations." Aislu first felt the trap at a tribal council. Merkite warriors debated alliance, but the air hung heavy with fear, sweat, and horse dung. "The Khan promises peace, but his eyes are wolf-like," an elder muttered. She stood aside in her woolen gown, feeling the fabric stick to her skin from dampness. Inside, anxiety grew. This wasn't war for land, it was a system making women trophies. Genghis Khan, the great unifier, built his realm on bones and tears. The myth of the glorious warrior cracked. Behind his genius lay tyranny, where enemies' wives became tools of revenge. Aislu gazed at the horizon, where hooves kicked up dust. Something worse than death approached. Feel that chill on your neck? History whispers that lies about great civilizations hide blood. Gradually, like raindrops before a storm, the cracks showed. Mongol camps brimmed with treasures, gold from Beijing, silk from Bukhara, but also slaves whose chains clinked to guard steps. Women from conquered peoples in rags of former finery hauled water and tended horses. Aislu saw it in dreams, hands scarred with blisters, eyes empty as scorched steppe. Her own restlessness grew. Why did the Khan, this oceanic ruler, allow such cruelty? Because it was the foundation, a system where rape and enslavement cemented loyalty. Merkits resisted, but in 1204, Mongol banners with wolf motifs appeared. The battle was swift. Swords whistled through air, horses neighed in panic, earth soaked with blood. Dair fell, his head rolling into grass. Aislu, captured, felt warriors' hands grab her arms, rough as desert sand. "You're ours now," one growled, breath reeking of mare's milk. This was the moment the myth of Mongol glory crumbled. Genghis Khan's empire was a soul-crushing machine. Aislu, dragged across the steppe, felt hope wither like grass under hooves. Genghis Khan's system wasn't chaotic barbarism, it was a precise terror engine rooted in steppe laws and Mongol tradition. After victory, warriors divided spoils. Gold, horses, and women, especially enemies' wives and daughters, became property of the Khan or commanders. Not random rapes, a ritual of humiliation to destroy defeated bloodlines and bolster Mongol dominance. Chronicles like The Secret History of the Mongols detail how the Khan took hundreds of concubines, birthing empire heirs. But the mechanics were brutal. Women sorted like cattle, young and beautiful for the harem, older for labor, marked with tattoos or scars to prevent escape. Taxes? Not just in silver, but bodies. It was death bureaucracy, lists of captives, distribution in camps. Aislu entered this nightmare step by step. Captured post-battle, Aislu was thrown into a Mongol camp by the Selenga River, air thick with campfire smoke and wounded moans. Her wrists still ached from thongs, skin red and swollen. Guards in leather tunics, soaked in sweat, circled her. "Look at her. They're Khan's wife," one laughed, voice raspy as wind in reeds. They touched her arms, fingers roughly sliding over her neck, checking for hidden weapons. Shame burned like fire, their breaths hot on her face, smelling of onion and blood. The system at work. Cleansing ritual, stripping to break pride. Aislu clenched her teeth, heart hammering, but tears streamed down cheeks. "Don't scream, or it'll be worse," the commander whispered, drawing a knife to slice her gown. The pain was sharp, like a pin through the heart. Humiliation as her body became property. Not one act. This was the start where steppe law dictated an enemy's wife lost rights to herself. She felt like a leaf in a gale, powerless, soul torn apart. Head bowed, ears filled with distant cries of other women, sisters in suffering. In this hell, Aislu clung to memories, her husband's laugh by the fire, scent of mare's milk. But the system offered no respite. Interrogation dragged hours, questioning Merkite allies, threatening with whips. Skin on her back burned after the first lash, each air whistle heralding new pain. Emotions flooded, shame mixed with rage, but helplessness won. This was one woman's small tragedy, but the mechanics clear. Breaking ritual to make an enemy's wife compliant. Guards chuckled, teeth gleaming in torchlight, as she felt the ground wet with tears and sweat. She wasn't alone. The Mongol camp teemed with captives, hundreds of women from Merkits, Tatars, all tribes. Sorted into groups, harem-bound for the Khan, others for service. Aislu, picked for beauty, was herded into a wagon with more. Inside, air heavy with fear and filth. Chains rattled at every turn, guards barking, "To Karakoram! The Khan awaits!" Procedures bureaucratic. An elder scribe noted names, ages, value. This one, for Anoyan, he pointed at Aislu, hope fading. Other women whispered prayers to Tengri, sky god, but the system merciless. Lists sent for Khan's approval. Journeys lasted weeks. Steppe burned feet forced to march, nights alive with escape whispers foiled. Aislu saw the scale. In Karakoram, rising like a mushroom after rain, harems overflowed with slaves. Mud and wood walls, guarded by archers, hid silk chambers in despair. Marked them, wolf tattoo on arm, burning like acid. "Now you're Mongol," the executioner said, hands sticky with ink. Other victims shared her fate. A young carrot girl wept holding her child, taken away. An older Tatar chieftain's wife scrubbed floors, hands gnarled. The system tightened. Daily duties. Serving at Khan's table, where warriors' eyes devoured them. Aislu lost hope, days blurring into gray nightmare. Hope, a flicker, whisper to a neighbor, "We'll endure." But rage built, not war, a soul factory where enemies' wives birthed Mongol sons, erasing pasts. Aislu's emotions shifted, from shock to numbness. Nights on sweat-stinking mats, she heard moans. The system didn't end at capture, it fed on bodies. Hunger gnawed stomach, cold pierced bones, and guards. Their touch poison. She fought inwardly, recalling Merkite Steppe, but Empire's wall impenetrable. The climax hit in Genghis Khan's Karakoram palace, golden roofs gleaming under sun, air carrying incense and fear. Aislu, prepped like a sacrifice in thin silk irritating skin, stood before the Khan. The hall, vast, cedar pillars, conquest tapestries, scaled armor guards. The Khan, massive with facial scars, sat on an ivory throne. Merkite wife, brought as gift, the eunuch announced, voice echoing off walls. Aislu trembled, heart like a hammer, sweat trickling down back. Khan nodded, and it began. Warriors grabbed her, ropes tightening on wrists, digging into skin, blood dripping to floor, red and sticky. Scent, sweat, blood, incense smoke, choked throat. This was the ritual, rape before the court to shatter completely. Hands on body, rough and insistent, caused tearing pain. She screamed inwardly, voice caught, system killed voice. Other women watched, eyes horror-struck. One fainted, guards dragged her away. Khan watched, laugh booming like thunder. After, Aislu lay on cold floor, body aching, soul broken. Blood on hands, fierce scent hanging, ropes still biting. This was zenith. Enemy's wife, a plaything of empire. No resistance, just void. Ears rang with chain clinks, nostrils with metallic blood tang. In this heart-wrenching moment for Aislu, share this story. Textbooks stay silent on truths like this. Spread it so the world remembers. Aislu's tale wasn't isolated, a drop in the Mongol terror ocean. Genghis Khan's empire, stretching from Pacific to Caspian, swallowed millions. Estimates say 40 million died in conquests. Women? Hundreds of thousands became concubines. In 1219, invading Khwarezm, Mongol armies raped and enslaved tens of thousands in Samarkand and Bukhara. Cities burned, streets body-strewn, Khan's harems swelled. Policy? Deliberate, taking enemies' wives, mixed blood, forging loyal generations. Trade? Silk roads boomed on slavery, women carted like goods in camel caravans, chained. Why did power allow it? The system bred fear. Defeated foes lost not just land, but legacy. Persian chronicles like Jami al-Tawarik described Nishapur massacres, 100,000 captives, including the Shah's wives, divvied as loot. In China, after Jin conquest, Mongol harems numbered thousands. Profitable, weaker tribes surrendered without fight, seeing sisters' fates. I slew one of many. In Karakoram, she served years, birthing empire children, name forgotten. Look deeper. This machine endures. Today, in conflicts, women pay. War's price. Rape as weapon. Enslavement in power's shadow. Genghis Khan taught the world empires build on tears. Scale terrifies, from Mongolian steppes to Kievan Rus, where in 1223, after Kalka River battle, princes' wives vanished into plains. Terror policy lasted centuries. Successors like Kublai continued, not past, warning that when power glorifies might, the weak perish quietly. Islu, in her final years, gazed at the steppe from Karakoram walls, her eyes, once fiery, dimmed like a setting sun. Last breath carried freedom's memory, but the system won. Her children bore Mongol names, soul cracked. She died in empire's shadow, built on her blood. Moral? When we turn from truth, cruelties veiled in glory, history repeats. Genghis Khan's empires remind, women pay highest for rulers' ambitions. Warning, today in wars and strife, this shadow lurks near. Don't let myths of great conquerors cover the blood. If this story hit hard, subscribe for more dark history secrets. Comment. Did you know this? Share thoughts. Let's discuss. Next video. What Romans did to captives in the Colosseum. Don't miss. Truth awaits.